Good evening, council. This is the municipal council meeting of June 25, 2026. And I'm going to ask our CAO for roll call, please.
Thank you very much. So we'll start with the chair, Mayor Blair.
Present.
Councillor Weatherby.
Present.
Councillor Sampson, Deputy Mayor Sampson.
Present.
Councillor Richardson.
Present.
Councillor Cooper.
Present.
Councillor Johnson.
Present.
Councillor Leggett. Present. Councillor Martell.
Present.
Councillor Patton.
Present.
Councillor Benoit sent her regrets. Councillor Fletcher.
Present.
Councillor Kennedy.
Present.
You have quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilors, in the early afternoon hours of January 25, 2026, Aaron McGrath was the first person to arrive at the scene of a very serious motor vehicle accident along Highway 6 in Brew. A vehicle had left the roadway, struck a culvert, landing on its side and catching fire. Warren Tatry arrived at the scene shortly thereafter. The vehicle's occupants, a husband and wife, had sustained severe injuries, including burns and broken bones. While the wife was able to extricate herself from the vehicle, her husband remained trapped inside. Mr. McGrath and Mr. Tatry immediately attempted to extinguish the fire, but were unable to do so. Recognizing the situation was becoming increasingly dire, Mr. Tatry, who had arrived on his farm tractor, acted quickly. He used the loader on his tractor to carefully turn the vehicle upright. This action provided access to the trapped driver, enabling Mr. McGrath to pull him from the burning vehicle. In doing so, Mr. McGrath experienced smoke inhalation and second-degree burns on his hands. If not for the heroic actions of Mr. McGrath and Mr. Tatry, without question, the gentleman driving the vehicle would have perished. We commend both for their selfless acts of courage during such a perilous, life-threatening emergency. And I do want to say that I know the two individuals are still getting some rehabilitation work, and they are coming along quite well. The nominations for our Colchester Courage Awards this year were submitted by Mark Langell, Chief of the Tatamagouche Fire Department. So I'm going to ask you, Aaron, come up, please, and you, Warren, to come up as well. And this Courage Award is for Aaron McGrath.
Great, thank you.
And the next is for Warren Tatry. Warren, and congratulations to you. And congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
Commend you very much for
Sure.
that day. Well, we never had to run into some emergency.
Same time.
You saved them. Amazing.
Glad to hear they're doing well.
Yes. Yes, I was speaking with relative.
Okay, perfect. Very much, everybody.
Thank you.
I believe so.
I left my glasses down there.
Uh-oh.
Not gonna get too far without those.
They have them.
You, Dennis. I always appreciate the gentleman.
Well, when I say one up,
I thought I was sitting right beside someone. In peace and friendship and in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, I recognize that Colchester County is in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. On the web. Begin our public hearing in just a moment. I call this public hearing to order, respecting an application for a municipal heritage property designation involving an application made by the owners for the designation of the McCurdy Creek House located at 8 Old Tatamagouche Road in Upper Onslow, PID number 20106-803, as a municipal heritage property. There is a recommendation by staff in support of this designation. The text for the application and a related staff report has been circulated to council members and has been made available to the public. Mr. Clerk, have the guidelines of the Heritage Property Act regarding the heritage designation and hearing process been followed?
Yes, Madam Mayor, they have.
Thank you. Councilors, you are reminded that only those councilors present throughout the public hearing can vote on the heritage designation when it is eventually considered by council. That this public hearing is council's opportunity to hear the application and every concern of area residents. Individual councilors will have an opportunity to debate the merits of the heritage designation when the motion is presented to council. And that staff are present at this hearing to answer any technical questions that may arise as a result of the public's input. Do we have someone who will speak for the application and give an overview of the proposed designation? Would you come forward, please? And I'll get you to turn the microphone on.
Right.
Lower right button. There, you got it. And would you give me your name, please, for the
My
record?
name is Ulrich vom Hagen.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask you to proceed.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and pleasure to be here and to bring forward my case to have the house that I bought only 2 years ago designated as a heritage place in Colchester, Nova Scotia.
So I'm having technical difficulty finding your presentation.
That's
You
okay.
apologize. Where did it go?
It's okay. I can do this without the present.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. And Mr. Vom Hagen, please continue.
Thank you. So as I said, 2 years ago, I left Halifax and wanted to move to Colchester, and was lucky enough to find this place that is pretty close to Truro, but still really rural. And then my partner, who has a background in architectural heritage, said, wait a second, these sellers say this house is from like the mid-19th century. From all the features, it looks much older. It looks really like it's part of the planter's heritage of Colchester County. And let's go into the basement. And let me see. I think I need to go to presentation mode. And so these are old pictures that Megan, my partner, actually found in the Colchester archive. And she realized they're doing really great work there at the Historium. But this is an old picture from the 1950s. And this gives you an idea where so-called McCurdy's corner is. And this house was built by the McCurdy family. They immigrated from Ireland, Northern Ireland, as Protestants, first to New England and then to Nova Scotia. And first they went to Irishtown. And then about like 10 years later in the 1780s, they went to Onslow, where they've received a grant of like 1,000 acres. Built this house, which is still standing. So here's a little bit of the background that my partner did. She really found out that they are not just like, just another family, but they really left a mark on Nova Scotia history. They were Presbyterians, they were ministers in the Presbyterian Church in Onslow, but they also sent sons to Pictou County and eventually they also became MLAs. And she's a bit of a history geek and really made the nice connections between like the McCurdy family, and today you might know like the Sydney airport is named after McCurdy, and other families in the neighborhood. So, for instance, there's like photography of McCurdy's here in Colchester, and really just to give you a background of how they became like an essential part of spiritual, social, and political fiber of Colchester. So, what's the house right now? In fact, it doesn't look like something special. You know, it's not like this, like this place where you think like this must be some old heritage house, you know, like there. But what you can see is like a really large roof, pretty small windows, and go to the next picture. What we found out is the roof that is like a typical like planter roof, very large, you know, almost like in the area where I'm come from, like the Black Forest. And they at some point in history, someone put just another roof on top of it, which is pretty unusual. And then after a few restless nights, we realized the poltergeist is not a poltergeist. It's like a raccoon who realized, like, I'm pretty happy here between these two rooms. And so there's myself. There is a duck bell pretty close to the house, which is unusual. But it's there's also a duck well that serves the house right now. And then what we found is really like these old Roman marks in the that indicate that this house was really planned. You know, like this was not just like a cottage that was kind of like put together, but those who built it, they put these marks into the beams, and it's a very planned architectural approach. When we first visited the house 2 years ago, for instance, the living room would look like this. And I thought that was nice. And my more rigorous girlfriend said, this is all fake. This needs to go. And this needs to go. So look at it now. So we removed the tile and found out really what we figured was the living room was actually the kitchen. And so this is like a fireplace. This is a fireplace. There's altogether 5 fireplaces in this rather small house. And there's even like beautiful and also sometimes hard historical evidence about what happened in this kitchen. For instance, like one of the more sad stories is that one of the McCurdy sons fooled around and fell into like a hot pot of hot water and in this fireplace and burned himself and died. Then, as I said earlier, we went into the basement, and that's the most astonishing thing about this house. It has a foundation under each of these rather big fireplaces, which are built up not by brick or rock, but by these beams. And they are absolutely massive. Like the picture doesn't give you an idea. Like these beams are like this, like something. I used to work at the Department of Natural Resources. You could only find like a tree like that at Catchy these days. And so this kind of makes a reference also to the shipbuilding heritage of this area of Colchester County, which we find really fascinating. And we want to do more research into like when were these beams cut. There's a research center in New Brunswick. For instance, some of these beams were really like shaped as if they were for a ship. This is on the right, there's a picture of like what the renovations look like, and it's definitely not finished at the moment. We're removing all kinds of walls that had been like put in there like in the last 15 years, and really opening up the second floor to how these places really functioned. On a second, do I need to mind my time? I think I do. Thank you, man. Whoever is interested in more stories about the second floor, please ask me later on. Thank you for your attention.
Well, I shall open the floor for questions from council. Does any councillor have a question of Mr. Baumhagen? Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Mayor Blair. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Baumhagen. I've always admired that home on the hill. I grew up on a beef farm just down the road from it, so I know the home very well. I just have one question. You've started painting the exterior. Will that be completed?
This will be completed this year.
It
Yeah, yeah. Well, we had to mind the temperatures before I went on a vacation, and now that I'm back, this will be completed in the next couple of months.
Sure. Are you living there now?
I'm living there now. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the best district in Colchester.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you to the mayor. Thank you, Rick, for your presentation. I've been at the house and everything you say I see is true. It's a beautiful location right on the hill. You see it as you come through the Onslow Road.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, certainly a house that is recognized in the community. And the age, what is it, 240, is there?
We believe it was at least built in the 1790s, most likely in the 1780s. So it's probably one of the oldest houses in Colchester County.
It would definitely.
Now, in your renovations, do you run into a lot of difficulties with any kind of rot or anything, or was it well looked after?
We ran into quite a few surprises. Yes. And today we got like an upgrade done to like 200 amp that will allow us to run the house like with a heat pump more efficiently, and it doesn't change anything about like the structural history of the house.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions, council? Well, thank you very much, Mr. Van Hagen.
Thank you for having me.
And appreciate that. If you'd just like to have a seat. And I would now like to ask our staff, our manager of planning, Pam McIntosh, to introduce the heritage designation application. Pam, please.
Thank you. I won't be doing a presentation tonight. You've had my report in front of you, and I won't go over it in great detail. A lot of it's been covered by Ulrich. So and there's a few pictures in here that in my report that weren't up on the screen, but I think one thing I do want to point out is I did invite Joseph Ballard, who's a local historian and author, to view the house, and they kindly agreed to let him look around, and he was completely fascinated by it. He too is very interested in trying to date the house by looking at the tree ring, so he hasn't given up on that pursuit yet, but and he did also, as did the applicants, look into some historical records to try to find some connections. We don't regularly designate heritage properties. It seems to be every 2 or 3 years we have someone step forward. So it's exciting for me when someone does. And I'd like to encourage more people to do that, but certainly staff are in full support of this recommendation, and if you have any questions, please ask.
Thank you, Pam. Does anyone on council have a question of our planner? No, I see no microphones on. Thank you very much.
Okay, and I'll just hold up the plaque that when a property does become designated, they get this to put on their house. It's a bronze casting made in Lunenburg, so it's very durable. Thank you.
Do we have a report from the Planning Advisory Committee, which acts as the Heritage Advisory Committee for these types of applications? Councillor Johnson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I do. So the Colchester Planning Advisory Committee of the Municipality of Colchester held a meeting on May 20, 2026, discussing the following. The owners of the McCurdy Creek House at 8 Old Tatamagouche Road in Upper Onslow applied to receive municipal heritage property designation through the county's municipal heritage property bylaw. PAC acts as the Heritage Advisory Committee for applications like this. The applicants provide an overview of the history of the house and its original owners, plus explained how their short and long-term renovation plans were going. Staff provided additional information on the house and how the municipal bylaws applied. The next step will be a public hearing, at which time council will receive a staff report and consider the recommendation of the PAC. There were questions from PAC members and answers were provided by staff and the applicants to the satisfaction of the committee. The committee recommends that council approve designating the McCurdy Creek House as a municipal heritage property. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Counselor. Mr. Clerk, have any written submissions been received?
No, Madam Mayor, there have been no written submissions.
Thank you. And there are no other members of the public present. So we shall respond. Is the chair of the Heritage Advisory Committee prepared to place a motion on the floor?
Yes, I am there.
Councillor Johnson, please.
Thank you. I move that council designate the McCurdy Creek House in Upper Onslow as a municipal heritage property. The property is located at 8 Old Tatamagouche Road, and the PID number is 201-06803.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Kennedy. Any discussion on the motion, Council? Then the question has been called. All those, are we doing? No, just right at the old fashioned way? We're on? Okay. Voting is up. Voting is concluded and motion carries unanimously. The property is now approved as a municipal heritage property pursuant to the Colchester Heritage Property Bylaw. Congratulations, Mr. Von Hagen. Council, the next item is the approval of our agenda for this evening. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? And we're going to begin with number 12. Number 12 has now been moved to 20B for information. (20B) for information. And the next item to be added is 18B, Long John Festival funding. Long John Festival funding. And the in-camera closed session, number 21, has been removed from the agenda. Mr. CAO, are there any further changes? Councillor Leggett?
Yes, had 2 additions from last night. We asked at the PAB meeting.
Oh, yes, that's right.
From the PAB meeting last night, we have 2 letters that we'd like, or sorry, 2 items that we brought forward. One is a letter we sent to, we don't exactly know who, but it was a consensus of the entire group that cell service in Colchester County is atrocious, even from a safety perspective, from the RCMP and everybody else, and even comes down to people that are in the world relies on cell phones. Anybody that has experienced mental health issues, if you can't use your cell phone trying to get help, it's not going to help them. So
Okay, well, so you want to have
a letter.
letter with regards to cell phone service.
Yeah.
Letter, cell phone service, cell service, let's just say. And that will be 18C.
Okay.
Cell phone service, cell service.
And the second part or another item was to have the crime or the police stats published in the county quarterly newsletter.
Oh, yes, we used to have that.
Yeah.
Yes. Crime stats,
Thank you.
that will be 18D. Crime stats, RCMP in newsletter. Are there any other additions or deletions? We'll be voting on the agenda, and that will be agenda as amended. Any further additions or deletions? Then I'm prepared to entertain a motion that the agenda be accepted as amended. Moved by Councillor Cooper, seconded by Councillor Richardson. Any discussion on the motion? Question, are you ready for the question? Question has been called. And nope. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. Motion is carried. The agenda is accepted as amended. The next item is the approval of the minutes from the meeting held on May 28th, 2026.
Approval of the minutes, May 28th, 26.
Been moved by Deputy Mayor Sanderson, seconded by Councillor Kennedy, that the minutes of held on May 28th, 2026 be approved as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. The motion is carried. Before I get into business arising from the minutes, I do want to let council know that a gentleman who was a commissioner with the village of Bible Hill, and with whom we worked very closely, Mr. Dwight Giddens, who was also past president of the Scotia Pool Society, has passed. He was re-elected to the village commission a week and a half ago. It will be 2 weeks on Saturday, and subsequent to that, he went into palliative care last Friday and he passed yesterday morning. And I want you to know that our council, that we will be sending condolences to Carolyn, to Mrs. Giddens, and family on behalf of the Municipality of Colchester. Dwight was an amazing person, very well-educated and volunteer for the community that was prepared to put his hand to just about anything, and he will be sorely missed from our community. So our sincere condolences to the Giddens family. Moving on, is there any business arising from the minutes of May 28th? Councillor Martel.
Through you to the CAO, business arising from the minutes, there was a motion made that would have an invitation extended to the Nova Scotia Federation of Agriculture to make a presentation to council at an upcoming presentation meeting. I won't follow through on reading all of it. I'm wondering if this invitation has been sent and when.
CAO, please.
Through the chair, at this moment, I cannot recall it being sent, so I will follow that.
Thank you. Second item, business arising from the minutes. It was motioned that council write a letter to the Central Nova Civic Center Society Board requesting that the minutes from October 20th, November 3rd, and November 17th, 2025 be reviewed and approved according to Robert's rules, and that allow for that to be done with the new board in place. With the communication policy, when a letter is written, it comes to council. I've not received a copy of that letter. So through you to the CIO, I'm wondering if this letter has been written and when.
CAO, please.
Yep, letter was written, sorry, through the chair, letter was written and sent to the chair. We can get a copy sent to you.
Thank you. And third item, business arising from the minutes, that a joint meeting between the Municipality of Colchester and the town of Truro be held as soon as possible to provide an appropriate forum to ask questions of the Central Nova Scotia Civic Center Society Board and receive pertinent updates, which carried unanimously. The joint meeting that was held recently was not in the spirit of this motion, with the one item agenda regarding the budget. So with the governance of the society completely filled with councillors, I feel that this motion passed by council should be enacted and actioned, and I'm wondering what the plan is to host that meeting.
Mr. CAO, please.
Thank you through the chair. The most immediate obligation was to get the budget, which has been worked on by the board and the staff for some time, to get that in front of council. So that was the next immediate item. The request to hold the next meeting will be discussed at the next board meeting with the board.
Any further business arising from the minutes, council? Thank you. The next item is our standing committee reports and recommendations. Deputy Mayor Sanderson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Report and recommendation of council committee meeting held June 11th, 2026. First item is the art purchase policy amendments. I move that council approves the amendments to the art purchase policy as presented, and a copy of the policy is attached.
Do I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Weatherby. Discussion on the motion? Are you ready for the question? Question's been called, and we'll be using our electronic voting. Voting is up. And the motion carries unanimously. Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you. The speed radar sign deployment. That the speed radar sign deployment program continue, and that council members forward their requests for additional monitoring locations to the chief administrative officer. I so move.
And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Patton. Discussion on the motion?
Question.
The question has been called. Voting is up. Voting is closed and the motion carries unanimously. Deputy Mayor, please.
You, and the third item is support for a feasibility study with the Confederacy of Mainland Mi'kmaq. I move that council provide a letter of support as a municipal partner with a funding application for a feasibility study for terrestrial wetland creation on agricultural lands, as well as agrees to in-kind staff contribution and sharing of data.
Do I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Patton. Discussion on the motion?
Question.
Question has been called and voting is on. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving into our action items, the first action item is council proceedings and committees policy. And we have discussed this in committee. And I'm going to ask Devin if you would address this, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Blair. Is that on?
No, you just turned it on.
I turned it?
Yeah.
I didn't think that sounded right. So it wasn't too long ago, we had the council proceedings and committees policy before council last month, and several amendments were adopted at that time. During the review, Councillor Martel had expressed interest in seeing appointments to external boards, included within the policy. So it was council agreed, it's referred back to staff at that time. So upon review of that request, staff had considered some input or insight directly from Councillor Martel. She provided some thoughts on how she would like to see potential amendments made regarding specific changes. And we further consulted our municipal solicitor for further input. So the changes that are before you in the action item are in red, or basically the feedback from our municipal solicitor. And I'll just kind of briefly go through each kind of key points that were included within the suggested amendments. First is to identify that the first and overriding role of a council member is to represent the interest of the municipality and be accountable to the municipality when being appointed to an external board. Council members are responsible for keeping council informed about the external body's activities that may impact on the municipality. And this can be accomplished through monthly reports, verbal reports, or by providing copies of relevant documentation. Also, a council member will work to fulfill the mandate of the external body while representing the interests of the municipality. So if a council member has concerns about the management of those interests, they should consult with council or the CAO. Where a council member receives information from the external body on confidential basis, and they must preserve that confidentiality, subject to their obligation to keep council informed. The council member should ask to have the matter added to the closed agenda so they can report to council in camera to protect confidential information. Exceptions to the obligation to report would include most personnel matters or matters that do not affect the interests of the municipality. A council member should not receive information from an external body on a confidential basis that cannot be shared with council unless it is within the exceptions identified or that were just mentioned. And a council member remains subject to the code of conduct for elected officials and regulations for their work on an external body as a council appointee. So it's just providing a little bit, a fair bit more kind of detailed, I guess, obligation in relation to when council members are appointed to those external boards. Just kind of identifying the key being that that first line of the overriding role of the council member is to represent the interest of the municipality and be accountable to the municipality. As there, obviously we received the amendment is largely from our council, from our municipal solicitor. So he would probably be best to answer a lot of those questions. Sorry, Dennis. But I'm happy to answer them as well, as best as I can. But if you have any questions, so feel free.
All right, thank you very much, Deb.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean, had one additional thing, point of interest to note is that because we're with policies by the MGA, we're required to have any policy changes to be within 7 days. So in order to adopt the amendments, they would have to be granting August committee authority to approve. So I forgot to mention that. So, and there are some options there, and they're typical options of amending the entire policy as presented, not accepting the amendments, or potentially making other changes. So
Thank you very much, Devin. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor. To you, I guess, to the solicitor.
Yes.
Part C. Got a couple of questions. To account.
Yes.
Sorry.
Could I have a motion first, please?
Oh.
I'm sorry. Thought you
Okay,
were
I'll do,
going to put the motion on the floor.
council grant August council committee authority to approve the amendments to the council proceedings and committee's policy as presented.
Thank you. And a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Now, your question, Councillor Cooper.
Yeah, sorry.
To the solicitor.
Yeah, to the solicitor. Part C there, a council member should not receive information from an external body on a confidential basis that cannot be shared with council. This is only exceptions. A lot of times, things will be presented, you're not really sure what it is till you get it. You know, like, that's not just not an agenda in front of you, they just present. How do we handle that? Just trying to get a hand, you know, I think it's a good idea, but I don't know how we deal with it.
So I guess the concern is that if it affects the municipality, it should be in front of council. You know, and there are a couple of exceptions that maybe things can't come. I mean, I would think it's really an orientation with the committee when when a counselor's newly joining the board or is their behalf and say, look, if there's anything that you need to discuss that you could affect the municipality and needs, I shouldn't be hearing it and I should be recused from that part of the meeting.
Okay. Okay, if I just myself, I knew ahead of time there was gonna be something on agenda, I'm not sure whether it should be there or whether it could share or whatever. We come to you to.
Sure.
share that, is that what we do?
Or the CEO.
Okay.
Yes.
So. All right, okay, no, thank you.
Further questions? Councillor Martell.
Thank you, Devin and Dennis, for relooking at this. One of the things that was on my suggested amendments was that a length of term be added to that, and that's not necessarily addressed in this section. I would suggest that appointments to external boards mirror appointments to council committees as laid out in the procedures document of the 2 years, which is the language of that is in part 3, section 20, or the term of office. So I'm just wondering if that is something that could still be added to this document.
Dennis, please.
Through you, Madam Chair, to council.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see anything inconsistent with the main motion if someone wants to put that forward. I know the practice for council committees has been 2 years. I don't know if that's been the same for external. I defer to the deputy clerk on that. That's been the practice, whether we reappoint on the 2-year period.
Chair, yes,
Yes.
all of our council committee appointments are 2 years with the exception of one committee that is the REMO because it's an agreement and that's 4 years. The citizen reps still remain at 4 years.
Yeah. So I guess through you, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
subject to checking if there are any other written guidelines from the external body that might conflict with that, I have no difficulty. Council can decide 1 year, 2 years, whatever it chooses.
Thank you. Anything further, Councillor Martell?
No, thank you.
Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Chair, through you to Devin. Devin, thank you for the work on this. I noticed police advisory board was not mentioned in that, and are there other committees that are missing? There are some listed. I'm just wondering, should that be?
I don't believe any were listed intentionally. Yeah, we chose not to include them, just we didn't list the actual board, external board.
Sorry, I'm just trying to scroll through.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't think that they weren't intentionally listed. Not that they.
Through the chair.
Through to, just a moment,
Sorry.
our CAO, please.
Yes, so through the chair and the deputy clerk, just reminded that what's listed are only the standing committees.
Correct.
Council, all the other committees were not, so just in purposes of this document, it was just standing committees. So that was the distinction between what was in it.
Okay. Anything else, Councillor Patton?
No, thank you.
Anyone else? Any comments or questions? Then you have a motion before you.
Madam Mayor, if I,
Yes.
is there an intention to make an amendment to the policy to add a 2-year?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to amend the policy to add a length of term that would mirror appointments to council committee as laid out in the procedures document for a 2-year term, as in the language of part 3, section 20, RE term of office.
And that's for standing committees. That's what you're talking.
External.
I'm just wondering,
Yes.
I, no problem with the amendment. I want to make sure that we'll feed back into council when it comes in front of council committee, whether there are other agreements that may have to be recognized as an exception to that.
Yes, there may be exceptions because we were just talking about standing committees as the CAO stated. Counselor Cooper?
So I just need clarity as to exactly what we're changing here. I'm not really sure what we're changing.
Okay, our solicitor, please.
I think it's just an amendment to the policy. I would read it as sub E, I guess. New sub E, that any appointment to external bodies be for a 2-year term. If I'm understanding Councilor Martell's intent.
This is correct. Would you like me to add to my motion that there would be exceptions? Agreements?
I'm going to ask our CAO to address this.
Through the
Because I
chair,
think there are different terms for different boards.
I believe through the chair, what I believe the solicitor was looking for is that subject to the decision tonight at the October meeting, that if there was any concerns or exceptions, the council would consider that at that time. I believe is what the solicitor was putting forward. So if past night, knowing that further information could come for our August committee meeting.
So where does that leave the motion? With it, you still want to have, I need a seconder for the amendment, okay. Moved by Councillor Martell and seconded by Councillor Leggett. That with regards the reference to the length of term as outlined, 0.3, section 20. With
Actually,
regards to term of office.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, I may have misdirected you because the actual motion is just about council proceeding.
Yes,
So the actual text of the language is not on the, well, I guess as presented.
yeah, as presented would
Okay,
be
as
reference to the
amended,
text.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it would be as amended.
Yes,
That would be the original, going back to the original motion. We have an amendment, and you have amended the amendment, motion of amendment, and that is the length of term for external boards and committees be added with reference to 0.3, section 20, with terms of office, barring anything that may be different from that we already have documentation on. Correct, Councillor Martell?
Correct.
All right, and if it has been moved and seconded, are you ready for the question on the amendment to the motion? Questions? And voting is coming on screen. Well, I did. And motion carries. So now we go back to the original motion as amended. That council grants authority to August Council Committee to approve amendments to the council proceeding and committees policy as amended. That was moved by Councillor Cooper and seconded by Councillor Richardson. And I have no problem with that. Okay. Then we shall move on. This one will be, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
A contrary-minded nay, motion is carried. Thank you, council. The next item on the agenda is the on-site water supply and septic program bylaw and the first reading, and I'm going to ask our Director of Corporate Services, Scott, to address this, please.
Thanks, Mayor Blair, and good evening, council. This item is the first, consider the first reading of the proposed on-site water supply and septic program bylaw. And it's follow-up to several sessions council have had over the last year, the first being whether we could implement such a bylaw, and then most recently, council wanted to have a bylaw and a program like this, and council indicated they did. And at that time, we presented council with a framework on what a bylaw would look like. And we're told to go forward, draft the bylaw. So attached to this action item is the bylaw. Just as a reminder, under section 81A of the MGA Act, we're allowed to have such a program with respect to financing for residential well and septic systems. The idea behind the bylaw is that it would be set up so that the program would be cost neutral to the municipality through the interest rate that's proposed. The intent is that we're not subsidizing cost, but we provide a mechanism for residents to finance it over a 10-year period. Also, I do mention in here that this is with respect to placement of existing systems. It's not for new development. It's for individual homeowners that have had issues with respect to their well and or their septic system, and they need to be addressed. We also discussed at the previous meeting that there is a mechanism here to address default on repayment. And so that's outlined in the bylaw as well. And outside of the item, I would mention that the program does cap at $25,000. The bylaw does speak to that maximum threshold. That would allow folks to finance up to that maximum amount. And there's also within the bylaw language that would allow in the future, if we decide to have an administrative fee linked to this, we could do that. That would go through our fees policy, which we see updated periodically. Other than that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them, but staff recommend the proposed bylaw be given first reading, and we would want to second reading an advertisement for the August council meeting.
Thank you, Scott. Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Chair. I'm prepared to put a motion on the floor that council approves by way of first reading the water supply and on-site sewage disposal system upgrade lending program bylaw as presented.
And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Cooper. Discussion on the motion? Anyone have any questions of Scott on this? It's a great first step. The question has been called. Are we online? We are. And voting is up. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. And thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
The next item on the agenda is item number 10, construction and demolition, cell number 4. And Councillor Martel has recused herself from the discussion.
I will take.
And Councillor Leggett has recused himself from the discussion. And I'm going to ask Bill if he would address this, please. Our Director of Solid Waste, Phil Redden, will be addressing this.
Thank you, Mayor Blair, and good evening, Council. You have an action item in front of you to seek approval for the building of construction and demolition site C&D. It's a debris disposal cell number 4 at the Municipal Solid Waste Facility in Kemptown. A bit of background here: when the facility opened in 1995, there was a sort of a designated area, I guess I would call it, for construction and demolition material. And in the summer of 2008, a new area was created where an actual cell was constructed with material starting to go into that area. There was reaching capacity. Another cell beside that, cell number 1 was created, accepting waste in the fall of 2014. And currently C&D material is now being placed in a third cell, which was created to connect the front side of cells 1, 2 to make sort of one larger area sort of all together. That site has been sort of filling up, and we felt there was a need to do an airspace analysis. So it's completed by Dillon Consulting in February of 2025. Sort of based on survey and tonnage data that was compiled in August of 2024. The results from that survey indicated we had about another 3 years left of disposal area to put material in. And that sort of implied we needed a new cell built sort of in 2027. However, in the last couple of years, we've seen an increase in volume coming into the construction and demolition site. For a couple of reasons. What we can see is an increase in population growth, which we've all seen, as well as the building development by the municipality. And we see that in all the different permits that come across our information monthly. And so in the original forecast that Dillon did, we had an average of 5,300 tons coming in on an annual basis. But the last couple of years, we've seen quite an increase that has boosted our average up well over 6,000 tons. With and also an average population increase that was assumed to be at 0.2%, has now grown well over 1%, topping out at 1.7. So more material coming, more people, more activity. So we worked with Dillon Consulting and we created a design and a tender was posted on May 27th of this year with a closing date that happened just this June 17th past. At the same time, we put in an application requesting approval from Nova Scotia Environment and Climate Change on May 29th in anticipation that we would get approval as this process went through with the tender. I'm pleased to advise that on June the 18th, we received approval from the Nova Scotia Department of Environment for approval of the design as we presented. We had quite an interest in the tender packages. A total of 14 packages were released through our program. We also had a mandatory site meeting on June the 10th with the 3 contractors from those that got the packages attending. We received 4 tender bids, although it was a mandatory meeting, and I've noted in this case here that the Nexco Group was the company that did not show up for the mandatory on-site meeting. So there were 4 bids received. Ian Sinclair Contracting at 1.354 million, Weeks Construction at 1.565, Dexter Construction at 1.880 million, and of course the Nexco Group at 2.9. But I just wanted to confirm that they weren't eligible to be considered based on the fact that they did not attend the on-site mandatory meeting. The low bidder was Ian Sinclair Contracting of 1.354 million, which includes, and I want to make sure we understand this part, a 10% contingency of 118,000 and a provisional sum for another 48,000, and that their bid was deemed to be complete by the consultant review as well as our own. I mentioned about Nexco not attending the meeting. So we've already spent a bit of the budgeted amount on some consulting design fees, as well as we had to do some civil site preparation work, and total a little over $103,000. So if we look at the total cost associated with it, including the bid by the Sinclair Contracting Limited, as well as the work that we did as the consulting fees and on-site work, we're at $1,514,731. And we're planning the work to begin in July. Council looks at an extra $14,514 that we're looking for based on a budget in the resource side of things of 1.5 million has been allocated in our 2026-2027 capital budget plan for a C&D cell construction. So you know, it's an integral part of what we do at the Solid Waste Management Park is properly dispose of C&D material. And staff are recommending awarding the construction of the C&D cell to Ian Sinclair Contracting for the amounts as shown. So I'll leave it for that, and please answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Phil. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Weatherby.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Madam Mayor, I would like to make a motion. The council award
solid waste C and D cell number 4 construction tender to Ian Sinclair Contracting Limited for $1,354,805, which includes a 10% contingency of $118,765 and the provisional sum of $48,390, and that the internal contingency and the provisional sum be spent only on the authority of the Director of Solid Waste.
Thank you, and seconded by Deputy Mayor Sanderson. And discussion on the motion. Any questions of our Director of Solid Waste? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor, through you to Phil. So the starting date would be next month. What about a completion date? What if all goes well?
Good question, and through the chair, we're looking into early October.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions, council? Are you ready for the question? Question has been called. And voting is on screen. And vote passes. The motion is carried unanimously for those at the table. Thank you very much, Phil. The next, let the record show that Councillor Leggett has returned to the table. And that Councillor Martell has recused herself from this item number 11. This is the award of tender, MacElmon Road Utility Extensions, and I'm going to ask our engineer, David Quinn, if he would address this, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Council. The item in front of you is for the award of tender for the MacElmon Road Utility Extensions. So essentially, we're extending water and sewer services along MacElmon Road in Debert. So some background, Council's 5-year capital budget approved in 2025-2026 includes $1.38 million in this fiscal year for extension of both water and sewer along MacElmon Road. And this was discussed at a June Council Committee meeting, basically providing a business case for undertaking this work. And just for a note, none of this work is directly related to the roundabout in Debert. The purpose, of course, is to create new developed lots along MacElmon Road for commercial purposes. So tender drawings and specifications were prepared by RV Anderson and Associates for this project. And then municipal staff tendered the work and will complete construction oversight and administration. So summary of the work, we're planning to install 750 meters of water line on MacElmon Road, and that's going from Lysander Avenue, which is basically Tim Hortons, northerly along MacElmon's Road up to Plains, and also 400 meters of new sanitary sewer along that same stretch, essentially along near Kohler. So the tender documents were posted June 1st. We had 11 prospective bidders requested the documents, and we received 5 bids, which we were pleased with by the date of June 17th. And as you'll see on the table, SW Weeks Construction were the low bidder at $1.325, $276.80. And we do have a well-established relationship with SW Weeks. They do a fair amount of work for the municipality, so we are comfortable with them as a contractor. If this work were to proceed, it would start approximately the first part of August, and with a 10-week completion timeline, which puts us second week of October, basically, to get this work done. So a couple options, obviously, is for council to either award the work as we've outlined or to not award the work. So there are a few other items aside from the tender value, which of course increase the value of the total project, and those are outlined here, that basically bring the total anticipated project commitment to $1.5 million. So that is the item.
Thank you very much. I'm prepared to entertain a motion. Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Chair. Motion on the floor that council awards the tender for the extension of water and sewer service along MacElmon Road in Debert to SW Construction Limited for a total contract amount of $1.32576 with an anticipated total project value of $1.5 million.
Thank you. And a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Kennedy. Discussion on the motion? Any questions? The question has been called. Your voting is on screen. And the motion carries. Thank you, council, and thank you, David. And let the record show Councillor Martel has returned to her chair. The next item on the agenda is biosolids handling facility aeration upgrades. And this is a request that it go to the August Council Committee authority to award. And I'm asking Kayla McClellan, our engineer, to address this, please. Kayla. And your microphone. There.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. So as you may know, the municipality has a biosolids handling facility. It's located on the same property as the Central Colchester wastewater treatment plant in Lower Truro. This facility receives waste activated sludge from all of our external plants, which is a byproduct of our biological treatment process. This sludge is dewatered at the facility, and then the final product, which is a biosolid, is then shipped to Envirom for final processing. So air is a critical component of the operations of this facility. It's provided to the sludge tanks, and the system is original to the facility, which was built in 1996. This is a case where the infrastructure has reached the end of its usable life, and staff engaged in an optimization exercise with consultants. And you'll note from your table that the upgrade is anticipated to reduce our energy demand by 50%. This RFP is currently out with a closing date in July, which is why we're here asking for approval for committee to award the project. So the options are: Council could grant August Council Committee authority to award the contract for the construction of the biosolids handling facility aeration upgrades, should bids exceed Council's approved budget. Or option 2, Council could elect not to award August Council Committee with the authority to award, and this matter would be deferred to the August Council.
Thank you very much, Kayla. And I'm prepared to entertain a motion. Councillors, Councillor Martel.
I motion that Council authorizes August Council Committee to award the contract for the construction of the biosolids handling facility aeration upgrades, should bids exceed Council's approved budget.
And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Sanderson. Discussion on the motion? Any questions of Kayla? The question has been called. And voting is on screen. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Kayla. The next item on the agenda is the Tatamagouche STP expansion and award of the design services. And let the record show that Councillor Martel has recused herself from this discussion. And once again, I'm asking our engineer, Kayla McClellan, if she would address this, please.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this item is to award the engineering services or the engineering contract for the design of the Tatamagouche sewage treatment plant expansion. So similar to other areas in the municipality, there's been increased development demand in Tatamagouche. 2 years ago, in 2024, the municipality underwent a capacity study. Findings of that study were that the Tatamagouche wastewater treatment plant was already at capacity at that time. And there was a recommendation from the consultants that the municipality engage in an expansion. An RFP was posted on the county website as well as the provincial procurement website on March 16th. A total of 14 companies requested this document. There was 6 respondents. Staff evaluated these documents. They were all very strong responses. On the basis of price, Dillon Consulting coming in at $308,363 was the lowest proposal price, and they received the highest score. All proposals received did exceed council's budgeted amount, which was $175,000 for both the design of the Great Village wastewater treatment plant expansion and the Tatamagouche expansion. Staff did elect to put these proposals out separately, as the Tatamagouche is an expansion where Great Village will be a complete replacement. We've included pricing from the Debert wastewater treatment plant expansion in your item, which is an ongoing project of council that was awarded last fall, just to demonstrate that the pricing is similar to what we're seeing this year in consulting fees, which have increased quite a bit. So before I read the options, I am going to just speak a little bit to the resource implications. The initial budgeted $175,000 was coming from the sewer capital item. But discussions with the Director of Corporate Services, the recommendation is that the exceedance be funded via the CCBF, former gas tax. So the options are, should council authorize staff to award the design services contract for the Tatamagouche sewage treatment plant expansion to Dillon Consulting Limited with a contract value of $320,000, $258, including rebated tax, council could elect to not proceed with the design work.
Thank you very much. I'm prepared to entertain a motion. Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Chair. I'll put a motion on the floor that council authorizes staff to award a contract to Dillon Consulting Limited for the design of the Tatamagouche sewer treatment plant expansion for a total contract value of $320,258, including rebated tax, with source of funds being sewer capital and the CCBF.
And the seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Kennedy. Discussion on the motion? Any questions? Anyone? Then the question has been called. And your voting is on screen. And motion carries. Thank you very much, Kayla. The next item on the agenda, and let the record show Councillor Martel has returned to the table. And the next item is Debert lighting and fencing, and I'm going to ask our Director of Public Works, Michelle, if she would address this, please.
Madam Chair, and good evening, everybody. This item was presented to council on table, and so I'll try to go through it in a little bit more detail. Relates to awarding the archaeological assessment needed to install fencing and lighting at the Debert Airport. The Debert Airport currently has little to no perimeter fencing. Of course, this is an issue. We often see deer and coyotes on the runway. Certainly a hazard to the users of the airport at this time. Also, fairly substantial all-terrain vehicle activity in the area. Along with the fencing, the Debert Airport requires lighting in order to support current operations of our clients at the site. The main runway, which is about 5,000 feet, has lighting on both sides. And also there's lighting on the different taxiways and aprons as well. The system that's in place now is antiquated. It's becoming very costly to repair. And so an upgrade to the lighting is required, recommended as well for continued operation of the airport. Prior to installing any lighting or fencing that will disturb the ground in any way, and that includes even driving the post in the ground, we do need to complete an archaeological assessment on anything that's going to be disturbed. In advance of committing to fencing and lighting in 2027, it's important to have the archaeology started and completed in this digging season. So as a refresher, the total length of fencing that would be required at the airport to fully encompass the site is about 0.7 meters. And in addition to that, and so the archaeology would have to cover the 5-meter width along the entire perimeter fence. In addition to that, there would be 3,000 meters of lighting
for the runway itself, and also if there's an intent to dig to install wiring for the lights, then that strip of digging would have to be tested archaeologically. And so staff obtained a list from the province of Nova Scotia for any archaeologists that are licensed to practice in the province. And we approached 11 companies to gauge interest as to whether or not they wanted to bid on doing the archaeology for this project. 6 companies noted they were interested, and by the closing date of Tuesday of this week, 2 companies did provide pricing. The pricing is included in council's item. So $899,019 from CRN Group and $1,240,690 from Boreas Heritage Consulting. Also in your item, CRN Group, the low bidders, are the company that has done most of our archaeology in Debert, so there's some efficiency to hiring them as well, which is great news on that front. To refresh council, last time we presented on estimates for archaeology to do these 2 projects in Debert, we were looking at $720,000 for the fencing and $460,000 for the lighting. So certainly the amounts are within what we expected. Also to refresh council, an estimate for installing lighting, just the lighting itself and installation at the airport, excluding archaeologies, was about $2 million in 2023. However, we are exploring less expensive solar lighting that does not require buried wiring. And so more information will come to council on that item. CRM Group did break out in their quotation the amount for only doing the archaeology for the fencing, which would be $593,317. So you'll see that in your item as well. And also, again, as background for council, in 2026, the updated price to install fencing itself, excluding archaeology, is about $470,000. So ultimately, this evening is a decision for council on whether to proceed with archaeology and how much archaeology we want to proceed with. Even though we did get quotations for lighting and fencing, based on the fact that lighting may not require any archaeology, if the solar option can work for us, staff are recommending that at this point in time, we only proceed with the archaeology for the fencing with CRM Group, which would be $593,000. And then could come back to council committee in August with more information on the lighting and decide on that at that time if any archaeology is required. So no need to commit to the archaeology for lighting at this time. To refresh council, in council's 5-year capital budget, there are a few amounts in there that relate to the airport. For current fiscal, it's $9.4 million for milling and paving the main runway. Next fiscal, $8.1 million for lighting, stormwater, and taxiway improvements. And in 2029, $5.2 million for equipment storage and perimeter fencing. Acknowledging that when we prepared the capital budget, we had placed the lighting and fencing in later years, but at this point, it seems like perhaps it's more urgent to get those items needed now for tenants and work on future years. Certainly happy to answer any questions. I know that's a lot of numbers in an item.
Thank you very much, and I'm prepared to entertain a motion with regards to Deputy Mayor Sanderson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that council approves the award of the archaeological resource assessment for fencing at the Debert Airport to CRM Group for a total contract commitment of $593,317, excluding HST, and that an internal contingency of 10% be approved to be spent only on the authority of the Director of Public Works, and that August Council Committee be authorized to approve any archaeological contracts related to the installation of lighting at the Debert Airport.
Thank you, and seconded by Councillor Weatherby. Discussion on the motion? Any questions? Deputy Mayor Sanderson, sorry. Councillor Cooper.
Yeah, thank you. Peter Michelle, please. This has probably been asked before, but if this work started, they're going along and halfway through they haven't found anything, is there any ability to downgrade what's done, or is it mandatory to do the whole thing?
Through the chair,
Yes.
no. However, we have obtained a variance from the province and the Debert Standards Committee that we only have to dig down as far as needed for the fencing. So this cost is based on not having to dig all the way down traditional depth. So there has been some allowance for modified work at the airport, but we'll have to dig holes every 5 meters along the fence line.
Have to evolve. Yeah, thank you.
Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to, I guess Scott would answer this one. So if it is what I see, so we're gonna fund this with debt, are we, Scott, is what we're gonna fund this with? And if so, that's our plans. We're gonna borrow the money for both of these.
You're addressing,
Director.
yes, and Scott, please.
Overall, the upgrades at the airport, we were planning to fund through debt. So it wouldn't just be this one, but the other parts of the project further down as well. Like, yeah, we plan to do debt financing.
Okay, as a follow-up through there
Yes.
too. Do we have to do it through debt financing or can we do it any other way?
We don't have to. I mean, it always, you know, the budget itself, the capital budget, there's always flexibility within it. So if we're only doing a smaller part of the initial larger project that we had proposed, if we're doing it in smaller parts, then we get to the year end and there's certain things that haven't developed in our capital budget, then I usually look at other sources of funds. So I may use, you know, our reserves, for example, and forego the debt financing if we're able to.
Okay, one last follow-up.
Yes.
You consider this a smaller amount, I take it, do you? You said smaller amount, so I'm just wondering.
Compared to the larger project, I mean, if we were to sink out $20 million and do the upgrade all at once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Counselor Leggett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess through to Scott. So if council decided to forego one project and allocate those funds to another project, is that allowable?
Yeah, I mean, it's always allowable. I guess when we get to updating our capital budget in August, I mean, there'll probably be changes between what we looked at last year and what we did this year, I suspect.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Then are you ready for the question? Voting is on screen. And motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Michelle. And Scott, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Rath Eastlink Community Center budget approval. And our CAO, please.
Thank you very much. So through the chair to council, this is a follow-up from our Tuesday night joint council meeting. Of course, the rec board had approved a operating and capital budget for this fiscal. At the meeting, there was Mr. Lawrence answered questions that were asked of the budget and did a presentation. There were several follow-up questions specifically with regards to some comparable information. So some charts and some information was put together by Mr. Lawrence and distributed prior to this meeting, and I believe they were on table. And so tonight, the matter before council would be if council is looking to approve the budget as presented.
Thank you. I'm prepared to entertain a motion. Deputy Mayor Sanderson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move approval of the rec budget as presented.
And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Fletcher. Discussion on the motion? The question has been called.
Sorry.
Oh, I didn't see you. Councillor Martell.
Okay, I'm speaking against the approval of this budget and for these following reasons. While I understand that we do need to check the box to say that we have approved a budget for the RAC and that we've already gone through our budget process and we've approved funding for them without the budget present. We've already gone through those motions, so really at this point, approving a budget for the rec is more of a technicality than it is the meaningful exercise that it should have been in the spring. So we're already in the second quarter of the year. And I would have felt perhaps a bit more confident in these numbers if we could have seen how even the first quarter of the year could be. I have concerns over the project of membership fees, food and beverage sales, and certainly with rentals. To project a $200,000 source of revenue from renting bleachers that we currently don't have in our possession or their possession does not offer confidence for me in that number that that would be an adequate amount of revenue by the end of the year, given that we are already through the first quarter. Even if we had been presented with information to suggest that there's a list of people waiting for a green light to get them to their events, it would have given me a little bit more confidence than just throwing a dart into the dark based on what ifs and whens. The other issue for me is that there is a $100 to $125 budget implication for building naming rights that have not yet been secured, along with further assumptions mentioned during the presentation by the rec staff in the joint council meeting, that there would be shared facilities maintenance agreement with the local municipalities to cover increased snow removal, insurance, landscaping, and parking lot maintenance. This request has not come before our council for consideration, and we are only one partner. Has the town of Truro approved this, or has a request been made to them for financial estimates of costs with such an agreement? Maximizing local event funding from the DMO, and again mentioning more funding from municipal partners, totaling an additional $150,000 of unconfirmed and unrequested funds. So when I look at this, I'm seeing about $500,000 that is really hopeful, but does not instill confidence in me to support this budget. So I will not be voting for it.
Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Chair. I want to echo what Councillor Martel has said and encourage this council to strongly consider how they're voting on this budget. For the $930,000 revenue for food and beverage that was budgeted, it'll account for 6.8% of the total budget. 2025 with Stampede and the Rustic Table, food and beverage accounted for 15.7, so almost 1.3 of total revenues. In 2024, prior to the Stampede and the Rustic Table, it was 12.6%, so 670,000. How can this budget suggest 930,000 while we're approaching Q2 with no events in the pipeline? I believe this is both unrealistic and unattainable. And I'd like to repeat what I mentioned at the Joint Council on this past Tuesday, that the 25-26 board expense line item was budgeted at approximately 31,000 for 2025. However, the actual spending was almost 119. And excuse me, and the 26-27 budget is now set at 500. What costs are included in the $500 budget for 26-27? And what caused the prior year $70,000 variance?
Anything further, Councillor? No. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor.
Your microphone, please, Councillor Patton.
I can speak on a few of those items, and I'm gonna tell you right now is that this board has been put in an awful position right from the start. We didn't want to fight when we went in there with anybody. But I'll tell you, it's been a battle right from the start. We've been fighting staff, fighting senior management. We've been fighting councils from both town and county. And it doesn't matter what we do, it just doesn't seem to be good enough. But I will talk about a couple things. Profit is one thing, and Brad sort of mentioned it the other day. When you're talking dollars is one thing, but you know, when you're looking at food and beverage, it's not the total amount of food and beverage product that goes out the door, it's what's back in our profits. And yeah, the numbers look good from the top, from the sales end of it, but from a profit point of view, they didn't look good at all. And that's why the restaurant was shut down. The food and beverage was pretty much in the same boat. If you want to talk about legal, and I mean, legal was up through the roof. We inherited that mess from the last board. So I'm not gonna get into what they spent the money on and what road they went down because it's not worth discussing here. We ended up with it. That's what it is. We don't plan on going down that legal road with where we are right now. That's why we have very limited dollars in our budget for legal. But I think it's time that we all look at ourselves and work together around this table rather than trying to pull us apart. It is our facility. When I say ours, it's the county and the town. We're doing the best that we can with what we have to work with. Is it perfect? No, it's not. Is it ever gonna be? No. But you know what? As long as we have people in this county and around this table that are working against us, we're gonna continue to get what we're getting. So I think we gotta move forward, pass this budget. Go ahead.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Patton.
Thank you, Chair. It is my job as a counselor, Counselor Johnson, to ask these questions on behalf of the public who have asked me these questions. So I'm only asking what I've been asked as a representative of District 8 and other residents of the county. So I will continue. I know they're not a comfortable question, or some of them aren't comfortable questions to have asked. I will continue to ask them.
Counselor Martell.
I would also like to respond to Counselor Johnson's comments about, people on council pulling apart and fighting. I stand with my residents of District 7, and I don't want to see them have any negative implications with their tax dollars being used with things that could be avoided. As far as any comments that I've made at this table, I have spoken about policy, I've spoken about governance, and it is my right to question and ask things. At our last meeting, I put forward a motion that was voted on unanimously by this council to have a joint meeting where we could ask questions to the board rather than have us ask questions here at council and have you answer them as the chair of the board in your council seat without the benefit of having the whole board with the town of Truro. So again, I will continue to ask questions and I will continue to voice my concerns, which I feel very much are legitimate with what I have outlined and why I can't support the budget.
Every counselor has the right to ask questions at this table. That is part of our process. And the counselors will be always allowed to ask questions at this table and to make comments at this table. But we do have our colleagues at the table who have been appointed as members of a board. And that board is the REC board, the Central Nova Scotia Civic Centre Society Board. They have a job to do and they are doing that job to the best of their ability. We have some very capable people on that board and our council has appointed them and we need to respect that. Deputy Mayor Sanderson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to say that I'm very pleased to see a budget this year. We did not receive a budget last year from the interim board. So I'm really pleased to see a budget. It might not be perfect, but I'm sure that the current board will be keeping a close eye on things as the year goes along. I'm also really pleased, and I compliment the board on the laser focus they have on the wellness facility that we built between the two municipalities, the $55 million asset that I have seen deteriorating big time over the last several years. So the laser focus is now on trying to fix that facility and make it all that it can be, and not diluting the efforts to have a wellness center for our citizens by, I think we got a little distracted by operating events off-site. Staff from the rec were there, they weren't at the rec. Things were suffering at the rec because there were staff deployed to another site. Any profits made at the other site did not come back to the rec, went to the provincial government. That did not make me very happy. In terms of negative implications, Councillor Martell, regarding tax dollars being spent by our citizens, your district and mine and every other district, absolutely we don't want any negative implications. We don't want boards spending money on legal. where we don't need legal. We had legal presented to town and county council. Our solicitor gave a chronological order of all the problems and the breaches. I'm not sure why we had to spend a whole lot more on legal. It was seemed to be pretty well laid out to me, so. I'm all about moving forward with this wonderful facility that I attend on a regular basis. I think we're making great headway, and I applaud the current board for all the positive steps they've made. It has not been easy, as Councillor Johnson said. We've been struggling with some of the cooperation that we hoped we would have, but my sincere congratulations to you on the work you've been doing, and I think there's a whole lot more good stuff that's going to come. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Councillor Patton, this is your third time to speak. Does Counselor agree with the third time for Counselor Patton to speak? Anyone disagree? Counselor Patton.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Dan. Dan, do you have confidence in the rec board as presented here tonight? Specifically that the revenue targets are achievable for 26-27, and does accepting the budget as presented expose this council to any risk?
Through the chair, as the councillor is aware, that from consolidation, any losses, and there have been losses over multiple years at the rec, that the municipalities are responsible for booking the liability. So ultimately, at the end of the day, the asset belongs to the municipalities and therefore responsible for it. All I can say is there was a substantial deficit that was reduced, and staff at the rec came forward with multiple options and came forward with what they believe is their best case. So I appreciate the efforts they put into it. The board's accepted that. And obviously, like any budget throughout the year, you're going to have to make adaptations based upon what comes. I can say that, and while I have not been sitting around the table as long as many when it comes to the rec center, one of the things that typically would happen is the rec board would have a deficit forecasted pretty much right until you get into a February, March period. And so all I'm saying is that I believe every board had difficult decisions to make. And I think in this case, staff came forward with, I believe, was their best effort to come up with a balanced budget. And I believe they're going to do everything, the board will do everything it can to maintain that.
Thank you. Further discussion, council? And are you ready for the question? Question has been called, and your voting is coming on screen. There it goes. And the motion is now closed. The motion carries by majority. 2 negative votes, Councillor Martel and Councillor Patton. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is speed radar signs, and this was added by Councillor Johnson. Councillor Johnson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Finally, it's good to see our speed radar signs at the communities. I know I've had good response from my district over the last several months. 3 or 4 locations, and up until a week or so ago, one just moved on Osborne Drive. But I know I brought up to the CIO about a year ago, I didn't feel 2 was enough. So what I'd like to do is send this to staff. Now that it's out in the field working, we've all had a feel with it, and I know we've all got a list of streets that you like to have these on, but it's pretty difficult when we only got 2 of these in the county to move around. So we heard Michelle say last meeting that she'd like to keep them up 3 or 4 weeks on a track. So if you do that on a 3 or 4 week rotation, you're not going to get them on many streets in the district. So I'd like to make a motion that we send this to staff for forward study and see what they can come up with to get a better rotation in districts in this county.
Thank you, Councillor. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Sanderson. And that was for a better rotation of what we have and the possibility of new.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on the motion?
Question.
Question has been called. And Will be on screen. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Johnson. The next item on the agenda is the Ice Pond Drive Crosswalk, and that also has been added by Councillor Johnson. I'll ask you to address it, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So this was brought forward to council, I believe it was in October of 24 with a petition. And that was sent off to the province through a public works department, and that's been well over, you might as well say 18 or 19 months. And we heard last meeting that nothing's been done. I just think that, what do we gotta do to get a crosswalk in a busy spot across from a busy store and a busy intersection that's been asked for long before I came councillor of this district, with my previous councillor that tried to get it and they got shut down the last time, but it's much busier there now, especially with the mini marts, the increased traffic. What I'd like to do is send a letter off to the province and say that this is not acceptable, waiting well over a year and a half without even them having a look at the petition that we passed or doing homework on it. So I know that our director of public works mentioned that they possibly could bring somebody up from somewhere else. I don't care what they do, but I think that as time goes on, it's well past what I expected should have been done long ago. So I'd like to see a letter written to the province wondering when we get this done, because we got to expedite it and get it done this year.
And that is your motion, that a letter be written to the province with regards to the crosswalk, expediting the process. And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Leggett. Any discussion on the motion? Question has been, Councillor Leggett.
Just one question, I don't know where it goes to. The crosswalk list that goes through you to the CAO. The only reason I bring this up dawns on me as equally busy as East Prince Street is in this case. Like College Road at Village Line, when we put the crosswalk across College Road, it's far busier on Village Line and College Road on the north side of the road. There's a stop sign there, granted, but predominantly it's all the kids walking twice a day from Valley to Bible Junior High or Red Cliff in between. They're the pile of traffic. I'd like to try and get that on the list as well. So if we're ganging up on highways, can we put a bigger list into them?
CAO, please.
Thank you. So through the chair, as I understand, part of the challenge here is there was a vacancy that wasn't filled, and therefore the requests are actually not being processed in the area. The process, and to the councilor's comment, that any requests, so they will go through Public Works, they will go to Transportation Public Works. And my understanding is that they are actually leaving the area to get approved. So therefore, they're being caught up with the work of another area. And so I think the list of crosswalks will be an issue until the speed in which these can get turned over gets resolved. And at that point, I think an entire list should go forward to say these are the ones that we're waiting for responses. But I think at this point, there's a process gap here that it's taking this amount of time to even get responses. And so as I understand, the letter is that we're looking for a more efficient timeline in order to get these responses turned around. But to the second part of that, the list of what we would like to go forward should then go forward as a complete task. Thank you.
So you're asking that there be other crosswalks, Councillor Leggett, added to the list?
Well, it's not like it's a process we have to go through first, try to address this one, then.
Yes. And then go from there. Okay. All right. So proceed. You have a motion on the floor with regards to a letter to Department of Public Works with regards to crosswalks. And it has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? The question has been called. And your voting is on screen. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council. The next item is the Long John Festival funding, and I'm going to ask our Economic Development Officer, Jen, if she would address it.
Madam Chair, and good evening, council. The item before council this evening is regarding a proposed contribution ask of $30,000 towards the expansion of the Winter Long John Festival. So our Tourism Society came in to present to council earlier this month in June. I guess just to familiarize council for those that weren't in attendance or if you're not familiar with the festival, the Winter Long John Festival is a local festival. It primarily consists of regional recreation events, things like downtown Truro and a variety of snowshoeing activities. Utilize our recreation trails, as does the town of Truro. It's primarily put on by the town of Truro, but we do have a board of which our recreation staff sit on, and other local organizations like the Downtown Truro Partnership, the Marigold Cultural Center, a variety of other entities as well that have planned and organized this festival in the region for years now. So as part of our strategic tourism expansion plan, there was a recommendation. This festival, it was felt by our consultant, had a lot of regional potential, particularly where we needed shoulder season tourism and winter activity to generate tourism potential in our region was really identified as I guess, a big potential for our area. And it was recommended that this festival be expanded. So the Tourism Society has put together a plan to develop an enhanced festival that would really include more robust programming, pull in a big anchor event, and really make it a regional festival. And they presented on that this evening, or I guess earlier this month to council, just to explain kind of the rationale and a little bit of more information on the festival. So there is a presentation as an attachment this evening that has some more information on the festival, should you need it. So just to highlight a few things that are, I guess, relevant to the $30,000 ask, the festival budget totals $395,000. It does include funding contributions from the Tourism Society itself at $75,000, from other levels of government, provincial and federal, and then of course our municipal partners, town of Truro and the county of Colchester. There also are other projected revenue sources of sponsorships and ticket sales. The full budget, just so you know, is in that package there. I believe it's page 13 of the presentation. There is a balanced budget that's presented for the festival budget, and there's a note that any type of surplus would just be retained and reinvested into a 2028 festival. So with that being said, as I mentioned before, it does align, of course, with the objectives of the society and our regional sustainable tourism expansion plan. As I mentioned, winter tourism is a big opportunity. We've done some research and the society has done a really good job of looking to see what other types of sporting events are happening over the winter season and ensuring that there really is a gap. There's no other displacement that would happen with hotel inventory, and it would really fill a gap in that season. So some good, I guess, research and ensuring that we're really attracting people to the region. And the intent of this event funding request is to really ensure a more robust program. I want to note that the festival would still continue if they didn't receive sponsorship and seed funding at all levels. It just wouldn't be at the tourism generation level that they're anticipating. And they would still kind of begin to plan festival events, but it wouldn't be focused on driving traffic to our region. It would kind of go back to what's happening right now with our regional festival that's primarily attracting community residents to the area just for outdoor activity. So, as I mentioned before, the ask is 30,000. It does note in your resource implications section that our current economic development major event budget for this fiscal includes 25,000 under the event major event funding allocation. So just a note that if there was the 30,000 funding request approved, there would be year-end deficit in that budget line item. As we just didn't budget as much as we typically do annually because we weren't aware of major events that were coming our way for asks this year during our budget season. So with that being said, there's a variety of options before you this evening, of course, to fund the initiative at 30,000 as asked Tourism Society, or council could suggest another amount. I will note that they're asking the town of Truro for the same amount. It'll be presented at council's early July council meeting. So just so you know, similar request is going their way. But happy to answer any questions from council, and yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Jen. And Council, does anyone have any questions? But first, I would like to have a motion put on the floor. Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Chair. Also, motion on the floor that council approve the contribution of $30,000 toward the 331 expansion initiative.
Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnson. Discussion on the motion. Deputy Mayor Sanderson.
Thank you, Sarah. Just wondering when this was the first time to give this a go, if maybe our contribution not be as much as 30,000, that we perhaps show some support for it. I was thinking more like $10,000 as a first year go, and see how much activity can actually be held outside of the town of Truro. Just my thoughts that it is. I understand what the society is attempting to do, but I think even with a $10,000 contribution, that's a significant amount. Just my thoughts.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any further comments? Councillors Martel.
Thank you, and I echo Deputy Mayor's comments about the amount this year in particular where we put the budget in a deficit line, and there are other potential things that could be coming forward tonight that we might want to put some of that funding towards. Through you to Jen, could you, I'm sorry, I was not here in June. I was out of town and I wasn't able to be here. Could you share what types of activities may include the Colchester area with this festival?
Jen, please.
Through the chair. So if I may, just to give like kind of more of a larger picture of the festival, there would be 2 festival sites that would be kind of primary festival programming. They would probably include things like concert stages. There is an intention to have like a really large winter-esque profile. They do have kind of a person in mind, or I guess a vendor in mind. I just don't want to say publicly what it is, but things like professional snowmobiling and bring in some really large key vendors. And I apologize, I meant to note in my item this evening, it does note that should we decide to move forward with the $30,000 investment, that we do request that probably one of those 2 primary sites be located specifically in Colchester County. So we have, you know, it's likely, I would assume, that the event organizers would identify downtown Truro and Civic Square as a primary venue, and that we would request a second one be in Colchester County. So from the primary venue sites, those would be kind of my recommendations. With that being said, there's also additional programming, things like sleigh rides, trail, and snowshoe programs, like guided tours, those type of things. And the intent is to have those all over the region, you know, being North Shore economy, other more rural areas, but no, you know, primary venue would be planned for those areas. It would just be general programming, ensuring the community has some availability to attend events in those areas.
Thank you. Mayor Sanderson.
Thank you, Chair, and you to Jen. I would think those events in outer regions could happen with little or no money. You organize an event and there may be some kind of a food aspect to it together, but I can't imagine those hiking or snowshoeing events would cost a lot of money. It's the big ones, as you say, Jen, that would be the big ticket items.
Any further comments? I recognize what the society is attempting to do, and I applaud that. This is a long-serving event specifically for the town of Truro, and it's known. It's a known event for the town of Truro. And while I think that it's wonderful that we're expanding the horizons for the event, I have a tendency to agree that the ask is a little steep, given the fact that we may not have a whole lot of things within the boundaries of, outside of the town of Truro. I think your focus is still going to be on Truro. And that's the expectation of the general public, because that's what they're used to, and that's what they've been used to for a very long time, ever since the Long John Festival came on, and the former mayor, Bill Mills, would go around town with his long red underwear on. So it's, you know, it's something that I think that our council has to give more consideration to. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'll say from sitting on this tourism board, I've seen the presentation several times, and most people around this table have seen it from Nick Sharp when he was in here. The reason for the $30,000 ask is all about the finances. If we don't get close to $60,000 from both the town and the county, and if you look at the major spending event, it's 197,000, 185 of that would be to bring in the major event that's gonna happen. So if we don't get the funding on the table and in the financial statement, that event will not have that major push coming to town to put on that snowmobile recreational event that we've seen. So we are in jeopardy of losing it if we don't have the funding, and if we don't have the funding, we can't afford it. And so it's sort of a double-edged sword. If you read down below about the risks, everybody knows about our winters here in Atlantic Canada, and no bigger snowmobile people around the table than me. Well, used to be maybe, but
that's right.
But I'm gonna tell you,
know about it.
we need the weather to cooperate. We can't count on the weather, but I think that we discussed this thing for several months around our tourism table, and we decided, you know what? We have to push forward and do something major here in the winter time, and it is what we chose as the Long John Festival. Is that we think that it's been very small. It needed an influx of not only funding, but it needed an influx of different people to take it to a different level, and that's where we're at. So I'm saying, yeah, the risk is there, but you know what? If we don't go ahead, we're not gonna know. So I'm in favor of moving ahead.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Cooper.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Blair. Listen to what everybody said. I was planning to support it for the 30,000. I still might, but I'd like to have a caveat on there that since, as Councillor Johnson says, main crux of this is still in the town of Truro, that if they don't give 30,000, we don't give 30,000 either. I'm not interested in us, you know, propping this up. They're not gonna be willing to do it, so. They're not voting until next month, so.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a caveat on there that whatever we do will contingent upon them step up the plate too.
Is that an amendment to the motion? Are you making that
All
as
right,
an
I'll
amendment?
propose that amendment then.
So your amendment to the motion is that, based on the original motion, which was for 30,000, that it only be approved providing, the town of Truro contributes the same amount.
Right.
Okay, do I have a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Leggett. Right, discussion on the amendment. That Truro, if Truro gives the same amount. Any discussion? Then are you ready for the question? Question's been called.
On the amendment.
On the amendment, yes. That both municipalities give the same amount. It's being stubborn too. So you have an amended motion, and the amended motion still depends on, or still states that the amount be 30,000 members, and that if the town of Truro and the municipality, that the town of Truro needs to give the same amount. And the vote is now on the 30,000 giving the same amount. Any further discussion on this? Any questions on what was just stated? Councillor Fletcher?
Through the chair, maybe I missed this, but is this, like, the main event would be at the civic, or front of the library? Like the snowmobile thing, if it came, would it be in a Colchester area, or are we talking still in town? Or do we know that? Anybody?
If I may, through the chair, My understanding is that the main event would not be in downtown Truro. That would be perhaps a concert or something like that. That any type of like major recreation event would need a larger facility than Civic Square. So it would likely need to be on county land. I do think, I don't know if this needs to be added to the motion just for simplicity, but we can definitely speak to the society and say the Colchester County would really like to favor a venue that hosts the major event on Colchester land.
Thank you.
You, any further questions? The amount, 30,000. And that Truro match. The basic concept of this motion. Any further questions? Are you ready for the question? Questions, please? All those in favor, please vote. Your screen is up. The motion carries. Thank you, council. And 2 votes negative to be recorded. The next item is a letter on cell service, and Councillor Leggett, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This came up from the Police Advisory Board meeting last night, to talk about safety in the area and a couple of recent accidents where a person was hit in the middle of the road and killed. People had to drive several kilometers to find a house to get a landline at 11:15 on a wet, rainy night in the Earltown area. I mean, nobody around the table is probably unfamiliar with the cell service in the Earltown area.
True.
But it's in the past month or so, you look at any Facebook page or group from local communities, everybody's on the cell phone service wagon. You turn off the highway in Valley and you must put your phone away. I can't use that on Tevye Place. It's terrible. When we discussed this last night, it's not only the residents, it's the emergency services that can't use their phones out on the highway places, no matter where they are, or even the radio systems. And one of the things that kind of concerns me, and it came out of, because you listen to what the RCMP are focusing their time on, is a lot of mental health crises. Somebody's trying to make a phone call, trying to access mental health service, and they can't continue the call. So it can exacerbate their condition. So it's not just one area. It seems like it's many areas in Colchester County. We would like a letter sent. I don't know what we'd even Mark Rose didn't really know where to go to as an EMO, or I don't know who's responsible for policing the cell service in the province. I don't think it's Bell or Rogers or something like this, something like the CRTC or something, I assume, but I don't know what our version of that is here. That's what we'd like to have sent, but I don't know where to.
So you're putting a motion on the floor that a letter be written to the appropriate authorities with regards to cell phone service in Colchester County.
Perfect.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Fletcher. And I will tell you that the Public Safety Committee for Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities, I'm on that committee, and that's one of our issues as well. Cell phone service throughout municipalities in Nova Scotia where there are so many blank spots. We're told that the province is working on it, but it's a slow process. So a letter,
worse by the day.
the letter, yeah. Anyway, you have a motion on the floor with regards to a letter. Councillors, any further discussion on this motion? The question has been called. And your voting is on screen. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Leggett. And the next thing that you wanted to speak about, Councillor, the next item is crime statistics in our newsletter from the RCMP.
Right.
Crime statistics from the RCMP in our newsletter.
Do we need to make a motion for that?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we incorporate the statistics from the RCMP into the newsletter.
Thank you. And the seconder? Seconded by Councillor Patton. And this has been done in the past. And it's been a long time since we've had that, but we did used to do that. And, yeah, and also when we had newspapers,
Yeah.
they did them as well with both the Truro statistics and the RCMP statistics. So, further discussion? Any discussion on the motion? The question has been called. And voting is on screen. And motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Leggett. The next item on the agenda is our action correspondence. And we will begin with number one, which is an email to the mayor and council requesting sponsorship through advertising for the 2026 Courageous Companions. And I will bring that to council's attention. You have the correspondence, you see the request. Do I have a motion with regards to this issue? Deputy Mayor Sanderson.
I move we receive for information.
Seconded by Councillor Johnson, moved by Deputy Mayor Sanderson, seconded by Councillor Johnson, that this item be received for information. Any discussion on the motion? The question has been called. And your voting is on screen. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. The next piece of correspondence is an email and letter requesting a flyby approval for Remembrance Day 2026. And this is a request from Spurgeon Stewart, Legion Branch 64 Service Officer, and this flyby was for the Tatamagouche area. Councillor Martel.
I motion that council grant permission for the flyby on Remembrance Day in Tatamagouche requested by Branch 64 Legion and provide a letter of support required by the Royal Canadian Air Force for that flyby to take place.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Sanderson. Discussion on the motion? Are you ready for the question? Question has been called and your voting is on screen. And motion carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is an email and letter dated June 1, 2026, requesting financial support for the 2026 Nova Scotia Provincial Exhibition. This comes from the chair of the Colchester County 4-H Planning Oversight Committee for the NSPE 2026. And your wishes, Council? Councillor Patton has recused herself, and if the record would show that, please. And I'm prepared to entertain a motion with regards to this request. Councillor Martel.
I would motion that council approve the request for $10,000 for funding from the Colchester 4-H to support the Nova Scotia Provincial Exhibition in Bottle Hill this year, 2026.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Cooper.
Yes, Mayor Blair. I fully support giving them the money. I commend them for taking this over. It's huge undertaking, and I'm extremely happy that they're doing it. My only question is, when I look at the budget and I put all the figures together, the plus and the minuses, if everything came in, they'd have a plus $50,000. And I certainly realize that it's a lot easier to predict what your costs are going to be compared to what your revenues are going to be. But still, that's quite a considerable amount. I'm still quite willing to give them the $10,000, but I'd like to propose an amendment. They've suggested that if there's money left over, like 10, 20, 30, or whatever it is, they would take an amount into their structure, their club or whatever, and that some would be put forward for continuing on with the exhibition years to come. So I would like to, if that's gonna happen, I'd like to have it, stated there's gonna be 50-50 between that. I wouldn't want to have 50,000 extra there and they take 45 and put 5 into the, we already support the 4-H ourselves, so we already have that, as a standing support every year. So putting money forward with that condition on it that if there's any extra, they're gonna get it. It's kind of them writing their own tickets sort of thing to get further funding. So I say I'm quite willing because I'm really, really happy they're doing this. So I'm quite willing to look over most of it and say it's okay. But I would like to have an amendment there that says there is extra, which well, it certainly could be because a lot of support for them, that it would go 50-50 to them and towards next year's, promotion of that, of the exhibition. So I'll put that as a form.
So that is an amendment to the motion.
Yeah.
And you are moving that. And do I have a seconder for that amendment? That if there is any profit or any surplus rather from the budget as proposed, that it would be divided 50-50 between the Colchester 4-H and I believe there's 7 clubs under Colchester 4-H and the fund to go forward for the next exhibition.
They put a proposal for themselves for that.
Okay, all right, and I need a seconder for that motion. The amendment, seconded by Councillor Leggett, the amendment. And anything, and Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mary. So, not that I'm confused, but if you read the small print, so what it's saying here is that the first $50,000, if there is $50,000 profit, it goes into the legacy funds for future exhibitions. Anything above that 50 goes to 4-H. So I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
Yeah,
So,
I did get that.
so that's the kicker. So I don't think you have to do the amendment if that's the case anyway. When I say revised budget, when I read this over the first time, I'm thinking, you're asking for 10, but you only budgeted for 5 on the first go around, and I'm thinking that makes no sense. So obviously the person doing the financial statement up was different than the person writing the letter for the ask. So I think somebody must have clued in somewhere along the line that they better drive the numbers before they do the ask. So that's why we got to revise it. So, but that's not my point. My point is that the first 50K goes back into the exhibition. And anything above and beyond that would go to 4-H.
Yeah, I forgot about that part. I will withdraw.
You're withdrawing the amendment to the motion.
Yeah.
So let the record show that and I do have seconder, and the seconder, Councillor Leggett, you agree with that? So the amendment has been withdrawn. Okay. And we're back to the original motion of 10,000 for the 4-H. Further discussion? The question has been called. And voting is on screen. And the motion carries. Thank you, Council. And let the record show Councillor Patton is coming back to the table. The next piece of correspondence is an email to Councillor Richardson. It was copied to me as well from Spencer Keddy, resident in Hilden, requesting that sidewalk infrastructure extend to Avalon and Bonavista Avenues. And the suggested action is that this be referred to staff. Councillor Richardson.
I want to put a motion forward to refer this to staff for consideration.
Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Cooper. Any discussion on that motion? Are you ready for the question? Question has been called and your voting's on screen. And motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Counselor. The next item is the Truro Police Service memo and email regarding a request to support the Cobequid Educational Center 2026 Safe Grad. And your decision, this is something that we have done traditionally. And you saw the explanation, the note of explanation there on what we have done in the past. I'm prepared to entertain a motion with regards to this request for Safe Grad night. Counselor Johnson.
Thank you. I'll put a motion like in previous years that we give $500 to CEC, so Colchester Academy and Tatamagouche Regional at $500 and $200 for Cole Academy and Truro.
Thank you.
And the Christian Academy.
And Christian Academy. And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Martell. And discussion on the motion? Question has been called. And your voting is on screen. And motion carries unanimously. Thank you, counselors. The next is an email and letter dated June 15, 2026, requesting a parking feasibility study for Main Street, Tatamagouche. And it has been sent in by the clerk treasurer, Brittany Frenette of Tatamagouche Village Commission. And the action suggested is that this be referred to staff. Councillor Martell, please.
I motion that the letter from the Tatamagouche Village Commission requesting a parking feasibility study for Main Street, Tatamagouche be referred to staff for consideration.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Discussion on the motion?
Call the question.
The question has been called. And your voting is on screen. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council. The next is an email to the mayor and council dated June 17, 2026, requesting a proclamation and recognition for Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day and Month 2026. And this was submitted by the founder of Oaks Tree of Love. And I'm prepared to entertain a motion with regards to that request. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. I'll make a motion that we receive this for information purposes.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Kennedy. That it be accepted for information. Any discussion on that motion? Councillor Cooper.
I read this a few times. I'm not going to support that because I really feel that there still is a sense of stigma around people that have this kind of thing happen to them. And so I'd be more than happy to support this. And can't support this type of information.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further comments or questions? Then are you ready for the question?
Question.
Question has been called and your voting is on screen. And the motion carries majority vote, 2 negative votes. Moving on to the next item, action addendum. And this is an email dated June 22, 2026, requesting a letter of support for the snowbirds. And the draft letter of support is included. This has come through from the Executive Assistant, Office of the Mayor and City Manager, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, on behalf of Mayor James Murdoch. And council, your wishes, Councillor Cooper.
I move that we provide a letter of support.
And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Kennedy. Discussion on the motion? Counselor Cooper.
I don't know, I've seen the Sewage before, and although most of the time you go to these air shows and the Americans are there with their bigger jets and stuff to make more noise and more, more bang. Snowbirds are always extremely talented in what they do. And they do find a sense of pride for Canada. Had a very disconcerting that they left at the last minute, said they can't keep them going. And then would be 5 years before that maybe would come up again and all this other stuff. Like, it's just very poor, for a government that says they're, trying to promote Canada to allow that to happen. I just can't believe it. So I'd like to see the support and see where it goes. And if we can get the country behind it, then go somewhere. If it doesn't, then it'll die. But we'll see what the country, I'd like to see what the country will do with this. So I'd like to see us support.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further comments, questions? And are you ready for the question? Question has been called. And voting is on screen. Motion carries unanimously. A letter of support for the snowbirds will be written. Thank you, Council. The next is an addendum, and this is a letter from Chris Berg, Area Manager, Colchester County, Nova Scotia Department of Public Works. And it's a letter to the CAO dated June 9 concerning a road renaming for Highway 104 rest areas. The letter is self-explanatory. And your wishes, Council, I'm prepared to entertain a motion. You see the request.
I don't even have to read it. I don't know. It's just a name.
No, you get it.
Our CAO, please.
Sure, thank you. So, normally, obviously, if this was a request that you were changing the name of a street with houses and folks around, in this case, it's really a sense of if there's any objection to the name, then, speak now or forever hold your peace kind of thing. So, really, I think at this point, what they're looking for is if there's no objections, the name will stand.
So basically then, except for information, Councilor Martel.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the names for the two new roads as outlined in a letter from Public Works regarding road naming for Highway 104 rest areas.
Thank you. And seconded by Councilor Patton. Discussion, Councilor Johnson.
Thank you. I've got a comment on this, Mayor. When we ask something from them, it's months and years. Why don't we send this to staff, study the heck out of it, and send it back a year and a half later, and let them come and write us letters asking for the name road name change. But I gotta say that because you know what? It's funny when they want something from us, it's a different ballgame. When we want something from them, it just sort of gets to the bottom of the pile. But like I said, that's my comment.
We appreciate all comments. Councilor Fletcher.
I'm not gonna comment on that part.
But
But it is, I will say it is important in a way because to have for a lot of medical emergencies happen up on that pass. And a lot of it go to the plaza. Having these rest areas, which coming east is before the plaza and going west, at least it'll help maybe some emergency services kind of pinpoint from when they get dispatched to where they are going. So it is important, and so that's just my opinion.
Thank you. Councilors, you have a motion on the floor to accept the suggestion, the road naming for Highway 104 rest areas. Discussion on the motion, any further? Then the question has been called and your voting is on screen. Motion carries unanimously. Quick action, Counselor Johnson.
Just stating the facts.
You always do. The next item is our information correspondence, and the first two items are Development Officer Report for activity for May 2026, and from our building inspector, a copy of our building permit statistics for May 2026. Are there any questions on any of those, either of those pieces of information? I see none, then I would like to have a motion that they be accepted for information. Moved by Councillor Weatherby, seconded by Councillor Cooper. Discussion on the motion? Then you're ready for the question?
Question.
Question's been called and your voting is on screen. And motion carries unanimously. The next item is an information item from the Honorable John A. MacDonald, Minister of Municipal Affairs. And this is a copy of a letter dated June 9 concerning 12 months notice with regards to provincial legislation, regulation, or administrative actions that could impact revenues or expenditures of municipalities. And basically that's all it is, just advance information without being too specific. And the recommendation is that it be accepted for information, and I'm prepared to entertain a motion to that effect. Councillor Martel.
I'd like to make a motion that we receive the letter from the minister for information.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Richardson. And discussion on the motion.
Question.
Question has been called and your voting is on screen. And motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. The next item is your councillor reports from council members. And Councillor Martel.
Through you to the CAO, I have
Yes.
a question, and I ask this question with the deepest respect for my fellow councillors, as I know we are all doing many things in many communities. I read everyone's report that was in the package, and it's wonderful to have those ahead of time. My question to the CAO is on Councillor Weatherby's report. He shared that on June 10th, there was a rec board special meeting requested by Mayor Hinton. On Councillor Kennedy's report, there was a rec board meeting in Truro Chambers. On Councillor Johnson's report, he reported that he met with Mayor Hinton. And knowing the bylaws of the society and that all rec meetings are to be public and that 7 days notice must be given. I'm wondering if you were at that meeting, if you were aware that that meeting was held, and if you could shed any light on the governance around that meeting.
Through the chair, I think I'll defer that to Tim Johnson, but I don't believe that was an official rec board meeting. I think it was a meeting of individuals.
Councillor Johnson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So if you'll notice on mine, I didn't put down rec board meeting because it certainly wasn't a rec board meeting. It was a meeting that was organized by the mayor of the town of Truro that wanted to talk on some stuff specifically, and it wasn't only rec related. So you might want to ask the other two councillors in the room why they put down rec board.
Councillor Kennedy.
I put rec board meeting because I met in the chambers in town concerning rec issues. But you're absolutely correct. It wasn't an official rec board meeting.
just a good first
Counselor Weatherby.
And I will echo what Councillor Kennedy said, and I apologize for any misrepresentation or problems that it has caused.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Martell.
Through you to Dennis. Dennis, I guess I'm wondering if this wasn't an official meeting of the rec board and called publicly, and we had a group of counselors that were meeting with a mayor. I'm wondering if that was in any way have implications with the MGA.
Dennis, please.
I don't know about the meeting. It wasn't an official board meeting. There was a time for discussion. There were public meetings. As I recall, last fall, there was an email exchange going on about whether councillors can attend meetings. And of course, councillors can attend meetings as they determine, as long as they're not trying to transact any official business on behalf of council, or in this case, on behalf of the rec, because of the public nature. So if it was a general discussion, just like there was a general discussion among the last board at a public meeting or former members, and there was that dialogue, I would think it's the same thing. Councillors can meet and get information. Board members can meet and get information. And it's only if they're trying to transact business other than in public in the way the bylaws require that there would be an issue.
Counselor Martell.
So if that's the case, then how would we know if any actions came of that meeting, if it was more than a discussion?
Dennis, please.
I guess at the end of the day, you have to trust that the people who were there weren't making decisions on behalf of the board, just like you trust that the municipal government process is followed according to the act. And if there was decisions to be made, then they would be made on the record as there should be.
Thank you for that clarity.
Counselors. And I thank you, council, for all of your reports and the work that you do. I do want to address a couple of things from my report. And that is, given the number of meetings that have been taking place, I do specifically want to thank Councillor Weatherby, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Leggett, and Deputy Mayor Sanderson for filling in for me at 4 different events during the between the 1st and the 9th of, or the 8th of June. But I do want to bring to your attention. Sorry, I moved away from the microphone. I do want to bring to your attention this plaque. Councillor Weatherby represented the municipality at a Sri Shivmoy Peace Run at Riverside Park on June 3rd. The team is the world's longest torch relay, which began in 1987. And the Peace Torch has traveled through over 160 countries around the world, and this year planned over 1,300 kilometers throughout the Maritimes. I met the team in 2018 when they were in this area the last time. And the Peace Run's goal is to promote the message that although we may be from different backgrounds and cultures, as human beings, we all share a common wish for a more harmonious world. And several local schools in this visit were visited by the team, 27, I believe, in the area that they were running through. Councillor Weatherby presented the team with a Colchester County flag, and he received from the team a plaque for the Salmon River Bridge. The Salmon River Bridge on the 18th of July, 1989, was declared it was declared a peace bridge, and the plaque that I have here will be displayed in our office. When I met the group in 2018, they also had a plaque for the Salmon River Bridge. However, it was put on the bridge and it disappeared. So this time we changed the rules and we put it on a plaque and a frame. And we are going to display it in the office. And this says Salmon River Bridge, Our heart's oneness is indeed a peace bridge builder, Sri Shimoy. Since time immemorial, bridges have served to unite people by spanning both physical and cultural barriers. As symbols of unity, bridges encourage the interaction and cooperation of individuals and communities. The citizens of Truro and Bible Hill dedicate this bridge as a symbol of peace and friendship between our two communities. Canada's first Sri Chinmoy Peace Blossom Bridge, dedicated 18 July 1989, rededicated 5 August 2018, and rededicated the 3rd of June 2026. And this is the plaque that will be displayed for the Salmon River Bridge. And I appreciated that very much. And Councillor Weatherby also received a thank you note from the organization that, and it says, "Dear Councillor Paul Weatherby, thank you for coming to greet the Peace Run team and receive the Peace Bridge plaque for Bible Hill and for the County of Colchester and Christine Blair. The team has gone back to their respective cities and countries after greeting many people along the road and sharing the torch and message of peace with 6,000 school children at 27 schools. They loved their journey here and the beauty of the Maritimes. I will stay in touch with Mayor Blair, and when the plaque's up, we'll come and take a photo and share the torch and a thank you. Thank you very much and happy summer. Sarita Earp, local coordinator for the Sri Chinmoy Oneness Home Peace Run." So thank you, Councillor Weatherby, again for doing that. Deputy Mayor Sanderson?
I share this jokingly, but not jokingly. Can we send that as an idea for the Gordie Howe Bridge?
Oh, well, now, maybe we could speak with Ms. Earp. So, that's pretty significant and very much appreciated, and we will display it in the office. So the other thing, we had 6 representatives at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities annual conference, and this was an anniversary, the 125th anniversary of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. It was quite significant. I have brought you a little souvenir pin from that 125th, and thank council for sending the number of representatives that we did. There was a lot of people there, almost 3,000 people from across the country, from coast to coast to coast. And I always find the best part of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities conference is networking with your peers, seeing former board members that I had worked with in the past as Atlantic Caucus chair and also as a board member, and seeing other mayors and talking with them from across the country. Excellent networking, and it was a great conference. So thank you, council, for having the number of representatives there that we have. Does anyone have any questions of any of the other council reports? Then thank you all for that. The next item on the agenda is an information item. And the information item relates to the Hudson Street Sewer Extension and the award of the tender. And we do have Kayla here if anyone has any questions. It's pretty straightforward. It's something we have discussed, and an information item. Does anyone have any questions on this? Councillor Leggett.
I think I'm here through Kayla. Sea Atlantic Ice and Snow is the lowest price. Currently, they have a major contract with the county that is. Are they getting themselves overextended by awarding them more work?
Well, that's not something that I could answer. Probably the company itself could answer that question, but Kayla, please.
Through the chair to Councillor Leggett. That is something that we discussed internally. This project does have a timeline, which is quite generous. So the completion date is the end of October. We're able to do that on this project because there's no water courses, so we're not working within wetted perimeters. There's no environmental concern. We're not working within a school area, so we're not worried about completion prior to walking to school again. So for those reasons, we don't feel that it's an issue.
Thank you very much. I guess my concern is on the job they have currently, the Hilton lift station is a far more daunting task than this. So all the reasons you just laid out are working against them to get the Hilton lift station completed in a timely manner.
Through the chair to Councillor Leggett, I will note that lift station doesn't require a lot of pipe laying. The project in Debert will be more their pipe laying team, so it will be a different group working on those projects.
Anything further, Councillor Leggett? Thank you very much, Kayla. Does anyone else have any questions before Kayla leaves? No? Thank you again. The next item on the agenda is a motion to go in camera, please. Moved by Councillor Martell, seconded by Councillor Richardson. And we are now in camera. We'll take a 10-minute break.
Oh, absolutely.